Hey, what's up and welcome back to the channel. This is the Prokon Geek, and in today's video we're gonna start detailing the columns that we designed in the How to Design a Double Story Building series. So let's not waste too much time and get started. Okay, now remember, if this is your first time coming to the channel, please subscribe and leave a like on the video, and once you are done, let go. Okay, so there you have it on the screen. I have the line work for the columns. And as you might have heard me say, or you may remember, I am detailing the columns that we designed in How to Design a Double Story Building Prokon with AutoCAD. I've already started a series where I've detailed the foundations, and now we are detailing the columns as well. So we're just continuing from the previous videos. I will leave links in the comment below so that you can click to the favorite part or the videos that you need to watch before you actually come to this video. But even if you're a beginner, please just stay along, watch the video. You will definitely learn some important things. Now, having said this, we need to understand that when it comes to detailing any structural element that we detail, whether it is beams, foundations, columns, or bases, there are 4 things that you need to worry about. That is, number 1, you need to worry about drawing or actually placing the line work for these structural elements. That is the line that will represent these structural elements. 2, you need to worry about the placement of the rebar or the actual reinforcement, right? Then 3, you need to worry about the final touches. Once you've done the first 2, just making sure that you have the nodes, title bars, and everything. Then 4 comes down to the printing of the actual drawing so that they can be shipped to site or wherever the structural elements are going to be constructed. So we already covered this in the previous videos where we were detailing the foundations. Now we need to detail the columns that we designed. There is the section. So in this case, we may detail from the ground floor all the way to the top, which is what I'm going to do, or you can separate them in sections. But we're going to be detailing the entire length of the columns, and we're going to be using exploded views. I'll tell you why. So since we have the theory, all the main things that you need to worry about out of the place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart and redraw this line work for you, telling you where or showing you the thought process that goes through when you're coming up with the line work. So with that said, and in the bag, let's create a new drawing. All right, new, and let's get started with the detailing. So the first thing that I want you to understand is what is called exploded view. When we say in exploded view, what we mean is the drawing is not necessarily to scale. So what we're going to do is, first of all, when we open the new drawing, what we need to do is to set the paper size. In this case, we're going to use A4 for the schedule, and we want it to be a portrait, so it's okay. Click OK. So this is the paper size we're going to be using. That is what we need to set. Then come down to your layers. Then the first thing you need to do is to add a layer that is called columns. And then choose a scale of 1 in 50. All right, it will work for you, trust me. Then just make sure it's on. Select yes, and just text heights. Then also come back. I think I forgot. You also need to put a code section, and this one, it needs to be 1:10. Make sure it's 0. Click OK. Just text heights. You're okay. You're good to go. Now, once you have everything set, what you need to do is change the layer that you're working on. Make sure that you're working on the columns layer. All right, then the first thing that you need to do is LY, put your bar mark there, then LX to establish the base of the columns. Now the next thing that you want to do is, if you remember, we're going to be detailing the entire column, that is from the top of the base to the just below the eaves beams, that is the bottom of the concrete for the eaves beams. So what you need to do is establish those levels. So by exploded view, what we are saying is we're going to maintain the scale of 1:50 for the heights or the levels, but when it goes to the side, we're not going to maintain that scale. We're actually going to use the scale that I called section. So the first thing is this first line that we established, the LX. Let me just select it, which is BA. This will represent the top of your base. So from the top of your base, you remember we need to go by 1,500. Okay, let's LP 1,500. Right, this is this portion. Let me just show you. We need to go by 1,500. Let's just annotate it linear to the top of the slab, the ground slab. We need to go by 1,500, as you can see. Okay, so we just gone by 1,500, but at the same time, remember when we were detailing the foundations, let me try and see if I have a drawing for the foundations. Let me just go to my desktop. And okay, desktop. Okay, sorry about that. There we go, desktop. Then we go to double story. Then we go to detailing materials. Let me see if it's not in there. What I'll just do is let me type foundations. But if you remember, what we did is we had a lap of 800 from the bottom to the top. Okay, since I cannot find the drawing, let's not. But we had an 800 lap, so we will also construct that later on. First, so let's just go. So 1500. Then the next level that we need to establish is, let me see, from AutoCAD. Next level that we need to establish is what is the first floor level, and this is a distance of, let me measure this. This is, let's go, 3000. Okay, so that is what we're gonna do. So LP this by 3000. Okay, sorry about that. That was a bit of a slow start. Then the next level that we need to establish is the bottom of the eaves, and that is, let's see again, 3000. So let's establish that level, LP again by 3000. And there you go, there you have your levels. Okay, then the next thing you want to do is change the layer now to 3. Okay, then LP this line by 300. Okay, once you LP it by that, you're good to go. Doesn't look too bad for me. That is actually okay, quite fine. Then the next thing that you want to do, this will represent the breadth of your columns. Now you need to establish your line work. So just create lines from this point to that point. Actually, let's just delete that line. Let's establish this line. This will be the outer edge of your column. And this is where your slab will be. So what you need to do is LP this by actually 10. If you LP it by 10, you're good to go. Then what you need to do is create a line, because your slab will be disjointed from the actual column. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to go back to layer 2. So go back to layer 2. Then what you're going to do is LP this by 150. All right. Then create another line there to join it, because remember, in the vertical we are keeping a scale, but in the horizontal we are not. So that will represent the slab. Then the next thing that you want to do in this portion is, at this point, you're going to have, okay, sorry about that. Zoom A, zoom A, zoom A, zoom A. This is really boring when he does this. This is a problem that they have to fix in Prokon, which really bugs me. Then the next thing that you want to do is, well, just establish the bottom or the top of the bottom of the base. There you have established the bottom of the base. Then the next thing, let's just go to the top like this. We're establishing our column. We're establishing the levels as well. Then the next thing that we need to do is we have a slab and a beam that is jointed at this point. So the beam is 300 deep. So we're going to say, bring it down by 300. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to go to this point and go all the way. What we can do is LY, so that these things are on the same path, or they are the same length. Then repeat LL. Then go to this point. Then go to this point. All right, we're good to go. Then repeat LL, go to that point, and remember your column terminates at the top like this. So there you go, you are representing your column nicely, the line work nicely without any faults. All right, now that we have just established the main or the outside of our column, the main concrete structure, the next thing we need to do is to put the lines for the levels so that we see how we are doing it before we proceed. Okay, so the next thing, what I meant by so that we see before we proceed, what I'm trying to say is let's add some visual guides to the line work. In this case, what I referred to by visual guides is let's add some dimensions and also some level markers. So what we're going to do is let's LY, and then I am going to rotate this line, so BA to get it, and then B7 to rotate it about this point at a degree of 30 degrees. Right, then I'm going to mirror it. So first LY, then B8 selected, then B5 to mirror it as a copy. There we go. Then next thing that I am going to do is I'm just going to LP this line to this point. This time I'm just going to drag it so that I can see what point I want. You're good to go. Then I'm going to remove auto mode. Then I am going to draw a line. In this case, go there, and go there. Then the next thing I am going to hatch. Go to hatch, area hatch, select the area that I want to hatch. There we go. Repeat this point, and there we go. Then I'm going to BB, select everything. Then B8 to scale it down. So scale it down, effect of 0.5 first. Okay, that looks a little bit big for me, so we're going to scale it again, B8. All right, let's just B, then block, scale it again. So it's going to be 0.5, and yes, we're good to go. Then we're going to create a line at the end like this. Let's return auto mode on. All right, we're good to go. Then we're going to add some text. So text, multi-line text. Then what we're going to say is we're going to say first flow. Then we're going to say TOC, which means top of concrete. The first flow is at a it's plus 3. Yeah, it's positive 3.0 meters above the ground. So that's going to be okay. Then the height is going to be 2.5. So where did I get height 2.5? The text height. Remember something. Where is all right, yes, your standard CAD sizes and font. So the most common fonts in technical drawing are Arial, Tahoma, Simplex. You need to note this. And then remember, any other text or anything else is text size 2.5 millimeters. Then for drawing title, axis numbering, lettering, or for section letters, you use text 5. Then text 7.5 for all of those things as well. But if it is notes, distances, elevations, always try to use 2.5 and everything else. So this is what we're going to do. Let's post it there. That looks good for me. That is definitely the first flow. Then the next thing that we're going to do is let's just BB to copy that. Then B3, we put it there. This time around is going to be the ground flow. And this time around it's also going to be 0 because the ground flow is going to be at 0 meters. Then the next thing that we need to do is establish this level so that even on site they can see what level this is. Then there we go. This time around we're going to EI. Then let's make sure this is LM. Then we're going to say foundation base. And in this case it's going to be negative 1.5. Alright, so B4 to move the text. Let's put it there. Right, B4. And if you want to get the parameters of this text and set the other text as well, alright, that's okay. Doesn't change the justification, but you can always just move it. Then you're good to go. Now you have a visual idea of which one is the first flow, which one is the ground flow, and which one is which. And then the last thing we need to establish, let's just create a line. We will delete it later on. Or what we will do is we will just EI, change it to dashed so that it's a dashed line. Then we're going to go B4, switch B3 to copy it. Then what we're going to do is EI. Then we're going to say this is the eaves level, but this is going to be the bottom of the concrete because remember the eaves are made from the eaves beam. So the top of the column terminates at the bottom of the beam, so that is going to be eaves BOC. Alright, now we're good. We have established the levels. The next thing that we need to do is we can actually push this a little bit. Let's select everything, then B4. Let's move them a bit closer to the column. Then the next thing that we're going to do is LY at this point, then LP that. Let's just move it to this point. Next thing we need to add the dimensions. So dimension vertical. And what we're going to do is first things first, we're going to snap to this. Wait. Before we do that, we remember we have an 800 lap at this point. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say offset this by 800. Okay. Then LP this. Right. Let's LP this line. Then put it somewhere there. What we can do is let's EE. Let's LP it by a certain value. In this case, it's LP it by 300. Then we're going to LP this one as well by 300. Then we're going to create a line at 800 mark. Then we're going to change that pen from pen 1 to pen 6. And then we're going to change it from not dash to, let's put it a hidden. All right, that's okay. That will signify that we have a lap at this end. All right, so let's remove all E6. Let's just E6 to remove everything. Then let's start afresh. We need to put some dimensions, okay? So LY, or what we can do, yes, we need to put them dimensions. So this is what we're going to do now. We have established the elevations. The next thing we need to establish are the dimensions, and also then talk about the lap lengths and what else? Yes, the lap lengths and the height of casting the concrete. Okay, now we need to establish the heights, and also we need to establish, okay, the dimensions. or the different heights that we need. And we also need to talk about the laps and the way they are going to cast this column, and that is going to determine how you're going to place your rebar. So the first thing we need to understand is we have a lap of 800, so we're just going to dimension that. Let's just ly so that we understand which lap we're talking about. So always remember, construction lines will help you snap to the best point. So what's going to happen is this 800 is going to be, we can just edit it. So there's going to be 800 is going to be a lap with the column starters. So we can say this is going to be an 800 millimeter lap region. Okay, there you go. It's going to be an 800 millimeter lap region. What you can do is this, just create. All right, so you know that you have an 800 millimeter lap region. Let me see, is the text? Yeah, it is definitely 2.5, so you're good to go. Then the next thing you want to do is, how is concrete cast in terms of heights? All right, so when they're casting concrete, the height depends on a number of things: the vibrator you have, the shutters you have, the expertise of the contractor, the consolidation that you want, and also the grade of concrete. So the height of pouring the concrete differs from engineer to engineer, but you can even do, I have seen bridges that go to 10, 12 meters. But as a rule of thumb, if you don't know the expertise of your contractor, or if you don't trust them, and especially this is a double-story building, it's not a very huge building. This is where cheap contractors are constructed, and also very poor workmanship is found where you don't monitor, because usually the client will tell you, I don't have money for you to be on ground, which is very funny. They will actually put more money towards the contractor instead of the engineer, which is the same as paying the judge more money than your lawyer, which doesn't make sense. Anyways, so sometimes you want to safeguard yourself. So the best thing is you will tell them you only pour your concrete in 2-meter sections, and also it makes it easier for those who are cutting the steel as well, because some people do not even have the mechanisms to handle or move 6-meter or 13-meter bars. So what you do is you want them to cast the concrete in 2-meter or 2.5, 3-meter intervals. So what are we going to do is we're just going to LP this by 2000. So 2000 gets us to this point. So what we will do is let's create a line from that point to this point. Then EI, let's change the pen to 2, then change the side to, let me just make it D, because I want it to be sort of a center. So this is what you have. So at this point, this is where they will have the 2-meter height. Then what you would want them to do once they get to this 2-meter height is to introduce the next lap. So the next lap, what is the size of that lap? So let me just pull up my PDF reader. There we go. It opens up the previous things I was using. So what you're going to do is you go to Annex D, the minimum bond and lap lengths for fully stressed bars. So we are in compression and we're using 16mm diameter bars. If you remember from the design files for our columns, we needed 16mm bars for the grounds and 12mm for the first floor elevation. And remember, all of our bars are essentially the same. All of our columns are essentially the same. They need 16s at the ground and 12mm at the top. This is because the worst case scenario needed 16s at the bottom as well. And the least case needed 16s. The worst case needed 12s at the top, and the least case needed 12s at the bottom. And remember, the minimum bar that you can put in a column is a 12. So there is no, let me just show you, the minimum bar that you can put in a column is size 12 bar. So it's good for us. We will go in with size 12. I'll try and put it up on the screen. The next thing that we need to understand is we are using high yield steel and we're in compression. We did design for grade 40, but hey, just try and go to grade 20. You never know, expertise. And in this case, the lab has to be 610. So what you will do is let's just provide 650 to be safe. The reason why I chose grade 20 as well is, as I told you, they use cheap contractors. So you have to be safe. So what you're going to do is you're just going to LP this point by 650. Okay, then just B3, copy this line that signifies the lap, then put it there. Then what you do is you're going to say from this point, all right, so in this case you would want to cast 2 meters from this point, right? But what you're going to do is you understand, look, if you just D2 to check the distance between these 2 points, it's 1.85. And also even if you D2 from this point to this point, it's 2.5. So this is going to be the next cast height for us. So just B3 to copy this line, right? Let's copy it from, right, sorry, we need to LX. Let's put LX there. Alright, something is happening with my viruses, but B3 copied from this point to this point. Then we now need to lap. At the bottom we have 12 millimeter diameter bars. So the lap is always governed by the smaller size bar that you have. And the smaller size bar is a 12. And we're using grade 20. Just let's stick to grade 20, and it's saying 455. So we're just going to 500 it. So LP by 500 to show you the lap, and then LG to get the parameters of the line, then LS, so this is where next lap will be, and the rest they're just going to cast from there to there. It's 2.5, so there's no need. This is where the column will end. So this is how we're determining the heights where they're going to cast to, and the heights where they're going to lap their bars at, or the regions where they need to lap their bars. So now that we have shown you, I've shown you the thought process of coming up with these lines. The next thing we now need to do is establish the dimensions of this before we start detailing. Okay, now that we have established the lap heights and also the cast heights, what I call the concreting heights, the next thing is now you need to dimension everything. So in this case, let's make sure that we have LX at every point. In this case, all right, let me put LX. Right, what's happening? LX. Okay, let's remove that line. It didn't go where I need it to be. In this case, I want it there. Now let's DV. So which is the best point to dimension? Well, in this case, you can do it DV from this point. It's just this one, then this point, then this point, and we didn't have line there, so we're going to DV from this point to dimension vertically. So this is what happens. We're going to have 1200, then we're going to have a 650 lap region. So just sure that you indicate it's going to be a lap region. 650 millimeter lap region, right? Then this one is going to be a 500 millimeter lap region as well, so indicate it on your drawings. So millimeters, then lap region. Okay, once that is done, all right, you're good to go. You're nice, everything is nicely shown. But this is best shown over this side, because what you're going to do is you're going to need to indicate the number of bars. This side, the number of bars are best shown, but anyways, we will see when we place in the bars which side is best. Then what you can also do is just for the links, we will try and see where we can put the best place to show the links. If we need to move this drawing to this side, it's not a hassle. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is let's just dimension this other side. Let's put what we're going to do is now we're going to put the main dimension, so DV. In this case, it's just D to this point. Right, it's DV. Then from this point to this point, that's okay. And if you need a 150 there, that's okay. All right, let's just something went wrong, so it's DV. Right, there we go. There we go. That's 300, and there we go. Right, that looks good to me. If we need to cut, I think we need to reduce the length of most of these lines, so just EX. Let's take them back to that point, then repeat, take them back to that point, take them back to that point, and EX again. Right, that's okay. Then maybe you want to deviate for the last time, this point, from this point to this point, then to this point, and then to this point. And there you go, you have created the line work, you have dimensioned it nicely. Then the next thing that you want to do is maybe reduce this line to this point. All right, that's nice. And we can even change, let's just change the color of this line, so that instead of having it as yellow, we can have it as 5. Let's put it at 5. 5 is too thick, so yellow is great. We're going to remove the yellow later on, but for now we just need it to be in this case. So what we can do is let's just put it in gray. So let's just put it in gray, but the line work is different. This is dash, this is a center line, so you can see in EI pin as well. This is 6. This is okay. So there we go. We have established the line work, we have established the dimensions. Then the next thing that you want to do is maybe establish the title as well. So what you can do is text my outline text. Then remember, this is going to be type 1, since the columns are all the same. To type 4, then you're going to say RC, it's a 300 by 230 RC column, right? And the number of this is they're going to be by 15. Remember, we have 15 columns. If you want me to show you, I will definitely show you. Let me just put this. You have 15 numbers, and then you're going to put this there, and then you're going to EI to edit it. Then this, change the height to 5, change the pen to cyan. I like watching cyan. Then that's okay. Right, that is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it to the bottom later on after we move this. Then the next thing that we haven't done is establish the section. So let's establish the section, and let's see just ly from this point, ly, then lx. What you're going to do is you're going to come from, yes, it's no, you're going to change now from to 1 to 3. All right, so that's you're going to LP this by 300. No, by 230 actually. Supposed to LP it by 230 because this is already 300, so you need to. So what you're going to do is to show you that it is already 300. What I'm going to do is DV this point to this point. This is 230, then DH from this point to this point. Right, there you have 300. Then you create your box. Right, then line get it from there, then line set. There you go, you have set your columns. Then what you want to do is LP this by 30 because we know the cover is going to be 30. So 30, everything by 30. Then everything by 30. Then the next thing is you want to LP this outer lines by 150. Right, then you want to LP this one by 115, so that is 235. And all right, then you want to LP this box by, let's just put it there. Then what you're going to do is create a line from this point to this point. Then you're going to create a line from this point to this point. And then you're going to delete this box. Then you're going to say LG get, then LS to set. There you go. Then you're going to create a box like this. There you go. You have a nice window shapers and sections. So in case you need to add that this is section AA, section BB, we're going to do that at the end. The next thing now that we need to do is show the bars or place the bars. But this video has been pretty long enough, so what we're going to do is we're going to end the video right here, split it up, and then so part 2 we'll be looking at how to place the bars, since we've now established the line work and we've also established the custom lines and we've established everything else of importance. So this was just to show you we have covered the first most important thing, which is placing the line work and visualizations of how the column will actually be. So remember, the scale in the vertical is 50 for the elevation, and there's really no scale for the section, but it's a 10. But don't worry about it, because at the end we're just going to say this is not to scale because it's an exploded view. So without wasting too much time, guys, let's just end the video right here, and then we see you again in part 2.